HTML. Pretty good. Pretty good. And then CSS. But yeah, I mean, like, so, like, we have. Yeah.
All right, I have posted the solution to the second assignment. It's in the second assignment. If you go there, you can see the access file and download it, read it. And the comments that I have made are also attached to the individual assignments. So please go in there and look at the look at the comments. And if there's anything that you don't understand, feel free to contact me. Stop by the office. Email me. I'm trying to get someone else to come in and talk to the class. No boot camp this time, but he's a DBA, and he deals with databases every day, and he's very busy. Hopefully I can get hold of him when we come in. He's the DBA for a large furniture distributor, and so they don't sell furniture, but they distribute to Ashley Furniture, to J.C. Penney, and so on. So they have huge databases. So hopefully you can see how a database professional works, what's in a typical day, and what he has to deal with. And so to give you a more realistic perspective. And so hopefully today the first 30 minutes have been useful to you. And don't hesitate. If you have any questions, these are, there were students not too long ago in pre-K, and they're very successful professionals, and that's what you can do too, and better. So the sky's the limit. Okay. Facebook applies for IPO today, and the price is $5 billion. That's something you can do too. So, and, you know Facebook, right?
What did they do?
Yeah, what did they do?
What did you say?
They went public? So
Yeah, they go public. Yeah, I'm sorry. The IPO meaning initial public offering. So the price tag is $5 billion.
How much is the share?
I don't know. I don't know how many shares. Huh?
Isn't $5 million just the first bid?
I don't know the details, but that's the headline. I haven't had time to read it.
I think it's just the first firm they're letting get on it has said that they will put up $5 million.
Price tag. Okay.
Yeah, and then eventually when more firms say that they're more interested, then that's the minimum.
Okay.
So I mean, I've read some speculation that thinks that they could go up to 100.
That's in the future. Yeah. Like Google, right? For example, if you had invested in Google, Apple, for example, has gone up 1,000% in the last few years. So, but of course, these companies are, they all started small, very, very small. And so our students, we have an MBA program, entrepreneurship MBA program, and part of what you do later on, you can always come back and maybe do something different, right? But with the technology background, which is about $1 billion, it's difficult to pick up technology when you're older, which is difficult. And when you're 30, 40-year-old, there's something about technology that these people just can't pick it up. If you're in another field, if you are, say, marketing, finance, it's difficult. So do it early so that you have more options later in life. And Jennifer bought a house recently. Very happy. And Aaron, I think, bought a house last year. Also very happy. And he has 2 dogs. Life is good. They're both professionals, both working, and looking at, after a few years of experience, easily 70 and above. After a few years of experience after you graduate from CIS. And so we have CIS, I like to call them $100,000 couples because they have students. I used to assign very, very hard programs, assignments. So students who work in the basement and the process, they fell in love with each other. And so they both got jobs when they graduated. They both started at about 50. Seen them a few times at Myers.
Very happy.
And just strange. One sometimes can make people happy. Not the only thing. It's important. Money is important. Right? I'm one of the very few professors that openly say that money is important. Other professors shy away from saying that. Oh, no, money is not the thing. Money is not important for your career, your interest. And you may have interest in baking cakes, but if you can't feed yourself, then it becomes uninteresting. Right? So, get a solid education, something that will you can depend upon to feed yourself, right? For as long as you like, and then do something you like. We have CIS students that brew beers. He does really well on the side. So he has a real job, which is programming, and then he makes beers. So lots of things you can do. We have another CIS student who bikes. That's his passion. And, so he programs on the day and bikes during the weekend. He has bought 3 bikes, each of which costs over about average $3,000. 3 bikes. I said, you're crazy. He said, that's what I like to do. So, all right. I have posted under course documents the SQL installation accounts, And if you go to course documents, you can see that the server name is cislab2.business.louisville.edu. The username is this. So for Seth, for example, LV, you have CIS31001, and the password is your student ID. You should know what your student ID is. And so every student in the class has an account, a username, and a password, and everybody has their own database. And what I'm going to do next is to show you how to log into the database. And this next assignment, what is assignment 4, right? Assignment 4, you will be using SQL Server, just some very rudimentary stuff. And I will go through that process with you as well, so that you may finish the assignment tonight if you want to. Yeah?
And we're using SQL Server for the rest of the semester, right?
Yes. Access is no more.
What about VCO?
VCO, yes. We're going to use VCO fairly extensively for the next month or so. Yes?
You said student ID or use?
Student ID. And on your student ID card, it's a student ID, 7-digit image, I think, usually. Any additional questions? Okay, very good. So, assuming you have SQL Server installed, you go to SQL Server and it's Management Studio right there. Okay. And you click on that. And you say, yeah, it'll come up. See, server type is database engine, and server name is cislab2.business.louisville.edu, and then your login ID, which is CIS310, 01, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on and so forth, and then your password. Okay. And I tell you what my password is. It's an ancient Chinese city name spelled backwards. It's very easy. And you say, if you're your own laptop, your machine, you can say remember password. And SQL Server has very low security policies. I don't like that. But it's convenient. When you're taking a class, you can click on that to remember the password so you don't have to type in your password every time. Connect. And once you connect, you will get into this interface. And it's a IDE, Integrated Development Environment. And you click on the Database tab, and you will see your database. Now, please note that I have your account set up so that you will automatically be taken to your database when you log in. And so, say for example, if you're Seth, then you say you go in here, and you see these tabs. And you have database diagrams. We're going to talk about that today. Tables, we're going to talk about that today. And these other things we will talk about later. So that's a typical setup. Now, if you're CIS 310.01, you will not be able to click on another's database. You can see it, but if you were to try to do this, for example, you get an error message saying that you do not have permission. So please log into your database as early as possible just to see that you can get in. If you can't, sometimes for some reason I mistyped your ID, password. I use copy and paste, but sometimes I made a mistake. So please let me know so that I can correct that for you. And so this is your how to get in. Any questions? Okay. Once you get in, let's say you want to create a database, a table. And I use CIS 310.30. It's just like your database. And you go into tables, and you see a bunch of system tables. Now, these system tables you can see, but you may not change because you do not have those permission. And you would say right-click and say New Table. Okay. And we're going to do Customer Agent again. Right? Because nobody has any Customer Agent. So you say New Table. It's not too late to change to something else, all right? And now please note, we're going to create database entirely using the GUI interface. But this is not typical. Later on, in fact, most of the time, we're going to be creating a database using code. So there's a lot of coding in this class. It's writing code. And as Aaron and Jennifer indicated, that's your pace. Right? So you right-click on the database, the tables tab. Again, right-click on it, and you say you see new table, and here's the new table. And first, you have the column name, and so we use custom ID, and the data type, you can say integer, int, right? And say do not allow null because it's an integer. It's a primary key. Customer name, and here is a voucher of 10. You can change it to a voucher of 10. VAR, voucher of 50. Right. It's a variable length character, 50. And then of course we have agent ID, and that's an integer as well. Right. So the table is created. Table is created. You can say save. Say yes. And then you have a chance to specify the name of the table, which for us will be custom. Okay, I'm going to create the second table. As you can see, once you have created a table that you have done, it's going to be dbo.customer. DBO is database owner. Now please note your account, you are the database owner. In other words, you have, it's a pretty powerful set of permissions as a database owner. So you'll be able to do just about anything that you can do to a database in SQL Server environment. And you right-click on it and create another table. And this time we're going to create the agent table, so agent ID integer, and it's not null. And we'll just have agent name. So now they have both been created. In fact, before I continue, I'm going to show you. You can make sure that that's selected and click on key and add. Maybe I should do it the other way. It's easier the other way. I don't want to go through this yet because this is a later on we'll talk about this, right? So we'll just save the table as agent. Now you have two tables. Now please note none of the tables has their primary key defined, correct? And the relationship therefore is also not defined because you cannot define the relationship until you have defined the primary key for the parent table. So that's what we're going to do next. Now please again, we are going to do this all through the GUI interface, but later on it's all code. And you say new database diagram, and you add agent and add customer and close. Now these two tables have been added. Go to the customer table and make sure the field is selected, right? And then let's see, set primary key. Right click, right? The field. First of all, select the field and right click. And then you have these options and click on set primary key, and customer ID has been set as primary key. Now the first time you're doing this, I would save, right? You would hate to do everything thinking that you're doing everything right, and towards the end trying to save, and you get a bunch of error messages. So save first, and the relation, the diagram is, we'll just call it example. And so its warning is simply saying that the customer table will be affected because SQL Server doesn't know if the table has been populated. And next, we'll go to agent and do the same thing, right-click, and set primary key. Now, to set up the relationship using the graphical user interface, you just drag the primary key as an access, drag the primary key field onto the foreign key table, and let go of the mouse, and it'll say primary key table, which is agent, foreign key table, which is customer, and the fields. Make sure the fields are the same. Yes?
Later on, you said we'll be doing it all by code. Is that, I mean, is it better to access it by code, or
Yes.
is it just like all the time?
All the time. Because how many tables do you usually have in a real situation, right? Lots of tables. And you can't, this would be too difficult, almost impossible. There are thousands of tables. And it's mostly done through script code. And so now we say relationship. You see how it uses a qualifier such as FK. If it's PK, it'll be PK. We'll talk about that later. So you say okay. So now it's saved, and then you can close. Say yes. All right, say yes. Warning, because these two tables are going to be affected, right, as a result of establishing the relationship. You say yes. So it's there. You can double click on it to bring it back, and that's what I would like you to print. That's what I'd like you to print as part of the assignment. You can control print screen and use your favorite image editor to save it and then submit it and print it. Before I continue, do you have any questions? All right. Let's go back to the assignment. So go back to assignments, and under assignment 4, it's due February 13th. This time it's 10 days from today. That's when it's due. The next assignment will be a data modeling assignment where you design a small database, very small. We want to start very small, and after that, the next assignment is either that or the relational algebra. But you're going to get an assignment on each, and then after that, you get a large assignment on database design. You have lots of business rules. And here, in this assignment, you're going to create a database on page 95, 3.17, and you must define all PKs and FKs and relationships properly. Create an ERD diagram in your SQL Server account, like I just did. So that part, do you think you have any questions at this point? You may run into problems later on, but you can always email me. Save a screen copy capture of the ERD and save it as a JPEG file. And then what you need to do is to write the business rules for all the relationships. As in assignment 3, all relationships are mandatory. Okay. All relationships are mandatory. Finish exercises 17 to 21 on those 2 pages, and then save the results in A4 doc or docs, and then submit the results. Find an excuse to get excited about the assignment and get it done tonight. Okay. I will post the next assignment probably sometime Friday. So this is a way to stay ahead of the class. When you have other classes, probably job. And of course, at this point, you're no longer a burden by having having that boyfriend, right? Because I told you to cut that. Okay, so any questions? Yeah.
Since we only have just one database on here, in between assignments, are we just going to be deleting our old work and putting in new stuff?
Right, yeah. If you have gotten the grade for an assignment that's on SQL Server, you may delete the grade. It's a good point, because sometimes many databases have customers, right? Okay, here's something that I would like you to understand. Your username is CIS 310 012347, right? And your user password is student ID. Together, they're your database account. All right. Now, please note that this database account, when you log in, logs you into database CIS 310, the same 2 digits. So if you're zero, who's LH? Thank you. Yes, I'm going to use you a lot. I want to know who it is. So Seth, you're going to have CIS 310.01 as your database. Now, there are actually 2 different objects that we're talking about. First is your account ID, username, which happens to be the same as the database name, but it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be the same. In fact, later on, I'm going to give you permission to access other databases. For example, my username is this, right? But I have access to all these other databases. I have permission to do that because I have set myself up with God's power. And so, no? Okay. So that's something that I would like you to be aware of. So once again, going back to SQL Server, you can see that for Seth, of course, when you go in and you see this, right? That's your database, and there's nothing in there, and but you have logged in using your account. So database and account are two physical entities, and for the sake of convenience, I have set them up so that the same username is used as the database name. Any questions about this? Any questions? Excellent. So we're going to go back to chapter 3, because right now you have enough information, I think, to log into SQL Server and create the database. I would just do it as soon as possible. And you have to populate. Oh, I'll show you how to populate the database. It's not. It's very straightforward. And you can, let's save this. You can have different windows open. You can leave this open and then go to customer table, right? And once you have double-clicked, you can see columns, you can see keys, right? You have a PK, customer key, which we defined. And then we have FK, which is, it says, this is an object. A key is an object, and they are FK, and customer, of course, is the table where the key resides, foreign key resides, and agent is the parent table, or the primary key table. So we're going to use that convention later on in this class, and so that it's easy to identify. And you can right-click on it and say, I want to edit the top 200 rows. All right, right-click on the table name, and then you say yes. And then now, of course, the table is empty, as you can see, and we can type in customer 123, name A, and then leave the agent name null. All right? Now, because the agent name, agent ID, in this case, is not defined as required. But you have to, because remember in your assignment, I said all relationships are mandatory. In other words, I forgot what the database is. What's the database? Page 94. What is the database? Do you recall?
Stores, employees.
Okay, store employees. So in other words, an employee has to belong to a store. You cannot be an employee without a store. That's what I meant. All the relationships are mandatory. So in other words, you cannot allow a row like this to happen in your database. Right? The customer has an agent. That's what I meant by mandatory. So this is how you enter the data for the database. Now, a SQL Server database is different from an Access database in that an Access database is often used as a desktop database, meaning that it's accessed by one person. The individual using the database is the individual using the database, and no one else will be using the database at the same time. SQL Server is a multi-user database. And so any changes, as soon as you press the tab key to move to the next row, the changes that you have made to the row are permanent. Right? In other words, people log into the same database through an application online elsewhere, they'll see it. Right? They'll see the change. Change is reflected in the database. And so yesterday I missed a meeting with again, a CIS graduate. He graduated from CIS, I think about 2-3 years ago. He went to GE to work in the technology program for about 2 years. And after maybe longer than that, GE has a leadership program. I think he signed up for it and he got committed into the leadership program. It's a technology leadership program. So he worked there. It was a very intensive program. So I don't know how many years, but just a few years, not more than 5, maybe 2 or 3 years. And then he went to work for this trucking company. It's not a trucking company, it's not hauling stuff. It's a trucking company that provides or supplies trucking equipment or trucking parts. I don't know if you know trucks. Has anyone driven a real truck? They have different parts. Every truck is different. So the parts, therefore, they have to maintain the truck, right? So they need parts. So he went to work for this company, and it's a small company, but he's now the CIO of the company. And he wants to, they want a project done so that they can take orders from online because they can't handle it. It's growing so fast. So they want to build an information system online so that truckers can enter requests for parts online. And so the online interface application is easy to build. You have template for that, so it's really easy. What's difficult or interesting is that the application then has to go grab the information for parts from the suppliers' databases. Okay? So that's an interesting project. So if you're taking 320 next semester, you may be doing that project. Okay? We're trying to find projects that are realistic for you to do. So 320, you design a system, and 420, you actually build it. So it's something they want to know. So for this, you can do it, right? Very good. No questions? You all look extremely happy today. So that's good, right? No questions, no complaints.
Are we turning these in?
Huh?
Are we turning these in?
Yeah, at the end of the class. The last assignment, you didn't turn in anything, so I recorded the comments online as well. Okay. So, see, I forgot what I was going to say. It's probably not important. Okay. So, if you want to talk to me about the boot camp or Kaizen, just stop by. I'd be more than happy to talk. See you on Monday.